What's up, guys? The brand new 2024 Model 3 Performance, I call it smoke, but it's stealth gray, is here on the rack. Finally got it back from Tesla service. They fixed the scratch in the hood, the fisheye, fixed the alignment on this door, the trunk. I don't know, there was a bunch of things. There's still a thing on the headliner over here, so they had to order that. You can't see it, but it's right there. It's like a dirty spot and a cut in the headliner, so they're gonna replace the whole headliner for me, but they had to order that part, and they don't have it yet, so it's gotta go back. The only bummer when I picked it up yesterday is that, and I knew this was gonna happen because I asked them, so is the body shop gonna drive my car to their shop or is it gonna get towed? And they said they're gonna drive it. I was like, son of a gun, man. I didn't drive my car for 2 weeks intentionally because I knew I needed to keep the paint perfect so I could clear rot or wrap it or do something. And you know what? I haven't even inspected the whole car, but there is one rock chip that occurred, and it is right here. It's like it's in the clear coat. So maybe, oh, there's two. It's like it hit here and then went to here. So that's a bummer. I still got to clean up the car and look to see if there's anything else, but what can you do, man? You take the good with the bad. But what we're going to do today is we are going to put these 20 by 10s that came off of my other Model 3 Performance, the warps. All right. So we're going to put this on the front of this car with some spacers because this car is completely stock. And after our release of the first video with this squared setup on my car and Tim's car, but they're already lowered and have camber, it's not a real good apples to apples comparison. So a lot of people are asking, what do they look like on a completely stock car? Well, now that we have one, again, we're going to put these on there and see exactly how much they'll poke out and if it just looks ridiculous or not. So for right now, I'm only going to add the spacer conversion to the front with this just to show you guys what it looks like. I won't even add a spacer to the back because if this thing pokes too much and it looks absurd, I'm just going to take it off and put the 9s back on the car. So let's get this thing going. You know what? Actually, I changed my mind. I'm just going to put spacers on all 4 of these because the 9s will take the spacers anyways. So why not just do it? So let's go. All right, guys, so I thought we were just going to do the 20 by 10 warp wheels spacer conversion on this car to show you guys exactly what that was going to look like. But then when I took the wheels off, I was like, oh, I might as well just upgrade my bearings and my bushings, 2 bearings and stuff like that while we have the wheels off. So my very favorite first mods to do on a car, if you're not even lowering it, are to upgrade the lower control arm bushings to the MPP bearing as seen here. This is the factory one. It's still brand new, so obviously it has no issues. This is the MPP one, came out of another car of ours. So it's got some miles on it, but it's still perfect condition. And as well as the compliance arm. So this is a factory compliance arm on the Performance Model 3, the Highland. And this is our brand new bushing. Nice polyurethane bushing right there. So I figured, got the wheels off, I might as well do that as a first steps. And when we remove the lateral link, I noticed that Tesla is actually Loctiting these bolts now. So they've definitely learned something from the aftermarket world, probably thanks to the guys at Mountain Pass Performance that call out to Loctite this. Not only that, but MPP provides you this sleeve. And this sleeve will essentially slide over this to help center this bolt into the subframe so it doesn't jiggle. Now you can see that there's a little step on there on that sleeve. That step locates into this machined part of the bearing. I call it the ear of the bearing. But yeah, so that sits in there, locates into the subframe, prevents this bolt from, this will be like this. Actually, this will be like this, okay? And it prevents this bolt from wiggling around too much because the subframe is hollow. But yeah, very, very cool. But it's very good to see that Tesla is Loctiting these bolts from the factory now, so you won't have people having their LCAs just fall off their cars while they're driving, because I can't tell you how many people have hit me up and told me like, hey, what is this thing hanging from my car, Rishi? I was like, oh man, dude, you're gonna have to tow that thing or get it bolted back in somehow. So anyways, we're gonna get these upgraded bushings and bearings installed on the Model 3 Performance, as well as this. This is an amazing mod. It's only like 182 bucks plus shipping, tax, whatever. But this is a Brake Master Cylinder brace. This is very, very important to do when your car is brand new, because if you are into performance driving, which you should be on a sub 11 second quarter mile car like this, you ever smash on that brake, our firewalls are really, really flimsy. So what's going to happen over time is that firewall is going to start deflecting and it won't spring back. It just gets weaker and weaker, and every time you push on that pedal, the firewall just pushes away, and it doesn't do anything for your braking because you think you're pushing on the brakes, but you're not doing anything. It's just displacing the whole Brake Master cylinder. So this brace will sit on this side here and make sure that this firewall can't deflect, so your pedal stays nice and firm all the time. Now, we have had guys that have waited and not done it at the get-go and waited 20, 30, 40,000 miles, and especially track guys or guys that do mountain driving. And then we go into trying to install this brake brace, and you should be able to get this thing in there pretty easily and then extend this out, right, to snug up against the Brake Master cylinder brace, but we can't even get it in there. The firewall is already deflected. And then you're really fighting this adjuster, this, you can call it a tie rod or whatever, to push that Brake Master cylinder brace back into its original position. So my recommendation is, better safe than sorry, do this. It's a super cheap mod. It's super easy to install. You can DIY this in probably 20 minutes or something. You do have to pull the whole front tub out, but get one of these from us. We'll put links in the description below along with all these other parts. Again, some of the best first mods you can do. If you're really into driving response and steering, the bushings in these lower control arms are phenomenal. It will turn this thing into like Porsche, BMW status. This thing is there to make sure that your brake pedal feels the same and consistent all the time. Now, the other thing that we would advise doing is a brake stiffness test. Go into the service menu, do that, see exactly how your brakes, read out, how many bars they have, and potentially flush your brakes. So alignments, brake fluid flush, those are two things that we find very inconsistent out of the factory at Tesla. And then obviously upgrading the bushings and bearings to improve steering response, driving feel, and then the Brake Master cylinder brace to keep that pedal nice and consistent all the time. So we're gonna get these parts on the car, then we're gonna put the 20x10 warp wheels in the front, lower this thing down, and see exactly how much they poke out. Let's go. Now keep in mind, guys, that only the very top of this bolt is gonna catch the captive nut on top of the subframe. So you don't need to Loctite the whole freaking thing. You just need to do the top part, just like we done here. There you go. Sleeves are going to go inside the subframe. Sometimes the hole's a little too tight and you got to just hog it out a little bit. But those went in there, so you got the bolts, got the lateral link. We're going to just butt this up against the subframe, run the bolts through, and then torque it down. Compliance arm's already in. We just got to tighten that up, but you can see that right here. Polyurethane bushing is already stuffed inside the subframe. You can't see it. But yeah, let's finish. All right, so the wheels are on, control arms are in, and I want to show you guys the fitment. So we got Aspira spacers on here. So we've done the spacer conversion for the 20x10 warps, completely stock suspension, no camber adjustments or anything. And you can see exactly, check it out, 275, 30, 20, 20x10s. But look at this, it's actually not as bad as I expected it to be. So I think this is definitely doable. So check it out. Will you lose efficiency? I'm pretty certain of it because this is really pushing into the airstream. And you've got a vent here that comes out of the bumper here. So you can see that light right there. See the light right here? So this is going to just hit the tire. But it looks dope. Can't wait to drive it. So what I am going to do now is I'm going to throw it up on the alignment rack to see what the numbers look like, because this thing was perfectly aligned before. Now we're going to see, after installing these upgraded bushings and bearings, it really locks in the center. There's no deflection in the lateral link now. So it'll be interesting to see what those toe values look like, because one of the arguments I have for people is that by upgrading to these MPP bearings, it really locks that front toe in, so it doesn't deflect. It won't spread like it would with the factory rubber bushing, which is even better for your tire wear. So not only do you improve steering response, you should improve your tire's lifespan as well. So let's get some numbers on the alignment rack and see exactly where our toe values are now compared to before. Let's go. Tim just reminded me that Tesla did the TSB on this thing for the breather valve on the rear drive unit. And according to what he says, they had to actually drop the subframe in order to do that. So maybe those baseline toe values won't apply. So what we'd have to do is square up the rear toe and then we'll have some good numbers up front. So we'll get the toe numbers in the back to match what we had before, because if they did in fact drop the subframe, those toe values are definitely going to be off. And then we'll see exactly where we're at in the front. All right, guys, so check it out. We got preliminary numbers, and it actually isn't that bad. Look, I mean, the rear toe is almost dead on, so it makes me believe that they either realigned the car or just got really lucky when they bolted the subframe back in, because to my understanding, they have to drop it to get access to the breather valve, is what I'm told. And then after we installed the bushings and bearings in the front lower control arms, look at that. My camber and caster is still perfectly symmetrical like we showed you originally. And then the toe is also really symmetrical. So to be honest, we're gonna lower this car in the near future. It's not really worth me adjusting the alignment right now, because it's actually pretty decent. It's only a few hundredths of a degree off of our ideal. So we're just gonna leave this thing as is. And then we're gonna get this master cylinder brace in the car and show you guys the car outside so you can see the wheel fitment and everything with the 20x10 squared up on this thing. Let's get it going. All right, guys, so check it out. There's the brake brace in all its glory. You can see how it butts up against the brake master cylinder. Make sure it retains its position because we have a lot of flex in our firewall. There you go. Gotta love it. First mods. Brake brace, lower control arm bearings, compliance arm bushings, and obviously had to go to a square wheel setup. All right, guys, so check it out. Car's already aligned. You can see this thing, this fitment in the sunlight. Not too much poke, you know, it's not too bad. This is the minimum, the thinnest spacer that you can run in order to clear the upright on the knuckle. But yeah, I think it looks really great. Definitely needs to be lowered, but it's not too bad. So any of you guys want to pick up some 20x10s, another spare pair of wheels to rock them in the front and then rotate them, you surely can. Just got to use our spacer conversion kits. We'll just put links in the description below so you guys can pick those up, as well as the brake master cylinder brace, the lower control arm bearings from Mountain Pass Performance, as well as the polyurethane bushings. But there you go. I finally got my first set of mods on this vehicle. Next up, we're going to figure out what we're going to lower it with, and probably put some Aspiras on it, because that's just what we got to do. But thanks, guys, for watching. We'll see you on the next one.